mostly. Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. 93.3 KZOZ FM San Luis Obispo rocks.
I'm bummed.
Good morning. What are you bummed about?
I'm bummed that we're not going to see the first home team play in a Super Bowl. I would have liked that.
I knew they weren't the real deal.
I would have liked that.
Chokers.
How do you let Nick Foles do that to you?
Listen, I feel bad.
Nick Foles.
I feel really bad for Minnesota fans,
Foles.
Jeff, because, we've been there. You have this team, and they build this faith in them. Like, this faith builds inside them where you just feel like, wow, this is the year. This is what they're going to do. They can beat anybody. They really can. They have the skills. And then they go out and they score a touchdown, and that's it, and they get beat.
And the way they scored the touchdown easy, early, and I was thinking, okay, this is going to be a good game. I walk away from it. The next thing I know is they're down 21-7. Next thing I know, they're down 31-7. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it was 38-7. Hey, congratulations, Skylar Zimmerman of San Miguel, because you know what he picked at the tiebreaker for the. You'll like this because when you look at the score, you're like thinking, God, this guy's got no chance going into the weekend, right? He picked both games correctly. He picked the Patriots and the Eagles. He ends up winning a $25 Slow Brew gift certificate because he picked Philadelphia 34. Minnesota 6. He was, needless to say, the closest in the tiebreaker.
Wow.
Pretty close. He missed Philadelphia's final score by 4, and he missed Minnesota's final score by 1. He gets a $25 Slow Brew gift certificate.
Oh, that's very nice.
And there's been some changes on the leaderboard for the trip to Vegas, obviously, because that was John Tallarico's, but he went with the Minnesota Vikings, so he only scored 8 points, and there was a bevy of people behind him that were like anywhere between 3 and 8 points that probably usurped him. So we got to figure out who the leader is going into the Super Bowl.
Stuff. A lot of stuff going around the NFL postseason at this point.
In heaven, there is no beer.
So Jeff's going to drink it all here.
We drink it here.
There's a really good chance after you pick the Minnesota Vikings and Ollie picked the Philadelphia Eagles that it doesn't matter what happens in the Super Bowl.
I am all in on the.
He's going to go Patriots.
I'm all in on Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go, boys.
You have to pick Philadelphia. How do you feel about that? Because if you don't, you're going to have to drink the 80 ounces of beer bong.
I feel okay with it. I don't feel great with it because I think that the Patriots are Super Bowl masters. I mean, they figure out a way every time. And hell, last year they were down 28-3 and they came back and won. So I think they figure out a way. But I feel okay with it because Philadelphia, their defense has been good this year. And I don't know. I think of destiny.
Where did they play that playoff game yesterday?
It was in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So
they have to, yeah. So it's not like it was in Minnesota and they would go back there. And, yeah. So it's this is a lot of stuff at stake here coming up on the Super Bowl.
You didn't watch it?
No, I was driving back from San Francisco yesterday, so I missed the whole thing.
You know what's funny is...
I missed all the games.
There's two guys sitting atop the leaderboard, and I don't know what their names are because I have to look it up on the back end, and we like to protect people's identities. There are two guys. By the way, John Tallarico, who was the leader, fell back to 5th place in the quest to go to Vegas. But Jay Chez and Tampa 2 are tied at 190 points. Now, Jay Chez, as part of his profile pick, he's got an Eagles helmet.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So, I mean, now, as we sit right now, the Patriots are a 5.5 point favorite. That'll probably move between now and then, and you get a couple weeks to make the pick. So, you get to see how things shake down because you are talking about a trip to Vegas and a meeting with the Jabberwockies at stake here.
And $500 cash.
And $500 cash to spend
Boy, this thing changes week to week. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. All right,
Yeah.
so KZOZ.com Red Zone Challenge. We'll be giving away another $25. I don't know who we're giving it away to for the Super Bowl, but I'll have that coming up a little bit later. But you can always win free food, even if you can't win a trip to go to Las Vegas. But congratulations to those guys, because I really thought we kind of had it dialed in, but it seems like the leaderboard has totally changed.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And now one of those two guys are going to go to Vegas.
And
where are they from? Does it say? Does it say where they play from? Are they North County, South County?
I don't have any
Central
of that.
County?
I will have that information later on. Like I said, we have to look it up on the back
We'll try to
end,
get him
and
on the phone
It
later in the week.
requires downloading an Excel spreadsheet, which is always my favorite thing to do when I walk into work on a Monday morning.
How pathetic can some people be?
The crazy world, man. Everything's going nuts. I had to go through security the other day, man, at the airport. You had to do that, little buddy? Huh? Everyone's uptight at the airport. I'm going through security. The guy looks at me. He says to me, hey, buddy, are you an illegal alien? I looked at him right in the eyes and I said, that got me right through, man, I'll tell you that.
Dumbass of the day.
Okay, that's funny.
93.3 KZOZ.
Okay.
Every time.
The service animal pendulum has swung, and it's swinging back in the other direction. Thank you, Lord, for this, and thank you, Delta Airlines, for this. Because what was happening with Delta Airlines is they were getting complaints about animals biting or crapping in planes. These complaints have doubled since 2016. That's when airlines started loosening their regulations and their restrictions on service animals.
I'm not so happy about this, all right? Now, I don't have my dog anymore, but when we did, we don't have kids. He was like our kid, and we wanted to take him everywhere, and he wasn't going to fly underneath in the storage compartment. I wanted him to sit right next to me. And I kept telling my wife, I'm like, hey, you've got, anxiety issues that you've talked. Just
wink,
get a letter.
Wink.
Go get a letter so we can get Tank as a support dog.
Yeah, honey,
she wouldn't do it.
Wink, 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 wink. Those anxiety issues you have. Wink, wink. You are the problem. You're part of the problem.
So we never got it. But now I know this has got to be ridiculous. Because people bring animals that don't behave, and they, like you said, they bite people, they crap.
5 weeks.
They bark. I was on a plane, and this little French bulldog, he's running out in the aisle. And she's like keeps grabbing him back every time a stewardess comes out. The food finally came, and she put the tray down, and she had the dog between her legs on the floor, and the dog's head came up because he smelled the food and spilt coffee all over her. I laughed so hard. I thought, that's what you deserve. Because if that was a real trained service animal, it would never jump up and try to get your plate.
Starting March 1st, Delta will require owners of service animals to require proof of their animal's health or vaccinations at least 48 hours before a flight. Also, owners of psychiatric service animals and so-called emotional support animals will need to sign a statement vouching that their animal can behave. I don't know what that means, but owners will be on the honor system. They won't have to show that their dog graduated obedience school or anything like that. But they will have to. I think the voucher makes sure that they are legally responsible for any damages that incur from the dog.
Nice.
Okay. They're covering their bases on that front. They transport about 250,000 service animals per year, and about 66% of those are emotional support animals. So it's not like they're full on saying, okay, you need to provide documentation that the doctor prescribed this animal to you or whatever. I don't know how.
But you have to carry some sort of certificate that says this is a legitimate.
That they've been vaccinated, that they're up to date on their vaccinations, and you will need to sign something that says that your dog will behave on the plane, meaning that if it doesn't, then you'll have to do that. My question is...
They should do this with kids.
You remember... They
should do this with people, because some parents are terrible parents, and the kids are worse than animals.
I don't know. Kids, at least if they crap...
Your kids are good because you're good with them.
They're going to crap in their pants,
You know what I mean? Well, that's true. Well, put a diaper on a dog. But I mean, I see so many kids running up and down the aisles, hitting all the chairs as they go by.
Yeah,
I just want to
some kids that are
clothesline
terrible
one
on
of
a plane. You're right. You're
them.
right.
You know parents. You have kids. You have no other people's parents that let their kids go crazy.
I know.
You know what I mean? Those are the people I'm talking to.
Drives me crazy. But this doesn't this stem from too much of a good thing? So the airlines start loosening the restrictions. So everybody's, what happens? People start taking advantage of it. And it's not like the people that really need emotional support dogs are the ones that are to blame here. It's the ones that are like, oh yeah, they're letting 250,000 animals fly a year. We'll just say that old Fido here is a emotional support dog. So then these dogs get on the plane. They're not used to being emotional support dogs, so they don't know what it takes to be an emotional support dog. Then they start walking around. They smell food. They raise their head up, and coffee spills all over somebody. Or they walk down to aisle number 15 and they lay a deuce. My question for you is, what happens when the dog lays a deuce? Because when the person lays a deuce and wipes it all over the bathroom walls, they land the plane in emergency fashion. Do they do the same thing for the animal that does it?
I guess it depends on how it comes out.
No, they don't. I've never heard of a plane.
Can you pick it up with a bag?
I've never heard of a plane being landed,
forced to land,
emergency style because of the Fido.
But just, I mean, you have to keep your dog on a leash. I mean, that's the
you
deal.
have
You can't
to
let the dog
not
run
take
around.
your dog on the plane if it is not a real support animal. Don't try to get through with a loophole.
There's a website, Support Animals.
And this is the problem.
And then you go there
And you can print out a certificate.
You get the vest. And then, everybody thinks it's a real thing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you are the people that
I wonder
are at fault for this.
if people have to pay for these animals to go. Because if you would think that you really need a support animal, you'd be willing to pay, I don't know, $100, something like that, just for your animal to go with you, an extra $100.
That's what they should do. They should layer in, but the problem is they call it Americans with Disabilities Act.
Well, file for a grant for your dog to fly with you.
But no, with the American Disabilities Act, they'd say that people with emotional support dogs are discriminated against. Like, you can't discriminate against somebody who's got, let's say, HIV
or blind,
and tell
or
them
in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
Or,
So,
I understand.
So these people would be like, "Well, I need this dog. This dog's mine." So it's like the airline's hands are tied. So all they could do is have more restricting policy, which is good. At the end of the day, this is good because all the people that went too far and they tried to take advantage of the situation, they're the ones that ended up ruining it for everybody. So congratulations, you're Jeff and Jeremy's.
Who is?
The people that you are.
No, I didn't do it.
Yeah, but
I didn't do it.
You thought about it.
Of course I thought about it, but I didn't do it because I'm a good human being,
Yes.
and I respect
You, at
my
least-
fellow humans.
The last line of defense, which was probably your wife telling you were ridiculous.
All you fake service dog jackasses.
You're ruining it for everybody. You really are ruining it for everybody, including those who actually need it. It's like you're no better than the person who parks in the handicap stall that doesn't have a handicap placard.
Go ahead, Maria.
My daughter was honest about it, and my son-in-law's in the Army, and he was stationed in Belgium, and my daughter joined him 6 weeks ago, so they were going to fly their cats over. $3,000
Jesus.
to fly their cats.
Well, where did they go? I mean, it must have been quite a trip.
They went from LAX, which I drove them from the Central Coast to LAX, and they went to Belgium, and it was $3,000. And he's in the Army, and it still cost them that much.
Yeah, because usually there's military rates. You get all kinds of things waived when you're in the military.
And these are cats that probably sat in a carrier and went underneath the plane.
We had to supply the food. We had to do everything. And
$3,000, they should be sitting in first class.
Yeah, that should be a first class.
I know, that's sad. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So maybe that's maybe the airlines are at fault a little bit on their own front because people are like, well, this is how we're going to circumvent your ridiculous animal transport fees. It was by slapping a red vest on our animals and putting them on our lap. From L.A. to Belgium.
So maybe that's the problem. It's also part of the airline's responsibility because they're price gouging almost. I mean, they're overcharging people to the point where they're going to do whatever they can to save
the airlines
$3,000.
If nothing else, they are the ultimate opportunistic
SOBs
entity.
Can we just call them sons of bitches?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you should have seen the hoops she had to jump through. She had to make sure that she had their little those little tags that you put under their skin. She had to make sure she had those. She had to have proof of the number. She had to have them given shots, even though they had already had them, but she didn't have any kind of documentation. Gosh. I mean, it was like a week-long thing to get her cats. It was horrible.
Yeah, people bring their kids on the plane. They run around. They bang on the bathroom door.
And they just pay a regular rate.
Yeah, just a regular rate.
Pay for the seat.
And when you put them underneath,
they say they're going to sit on their parent's lap.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. And then you put your pets underneath the plane, and you pay $3,000 to do it. And sometimes, it doesn't work out because the oxygen goes out or the heat goes out, and they freeze or die because they can't breathe.
My son is technically able to sit on my lap, but there is no way I could get on a 15-minute flight and have my son stay on my lap
without going nuts.
Yeah. So I would know going into it, okay, I just going to have to buy him a seat, We
want to know where the most inappropriate place is that you have seen a service animal. I think Jeff might have I don't know if I've ever heard of a more ridiculous place than in the new birthing ward at a hospital when the mother just gave birth and the dog is jumping up on the bed. Like,
I don't know how I forgot about that. Yeah, my son is bored, right? And this guy comes walking in, and he's like a volunteer for the hospital, and he comes walking in with the dog, and it's like hey,
here's Daisy.
It's a golden retriever. And we're like, what is this guy walking? He comes walking into the room that we're in, and we just had our son, and our son is not as easy as our daughter. Okay, like our daughter was very, very easy. Our son, he's crying. He does not want to be out of the stomach. He's pissed. He's underweight. He's cold. He's pissed. He is not happy. And he's screaming, all that stuff. And this guy comes walking in with this dog. And, like, the family's standing around. It's bad enough that you have everybody in your family crammed into a little room, but then you bring a dog into the room, and the dog starts climbing up on the bed. And I'm like, whoa, dude, come on. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He just wanted to see what was going on. I'm like, well, can you, we have dogs, too. We understand, but can you move your dog out of the. This is like we didn't bring our dogs.
Well, you would think they would
be bringing your dog.
They would knock and say, "Hey, would you mind if Daisy, the service dog, comes in and whatever?" But no, you just bust right in. Get that damn thing out of here. Yeah. I love dogs, but it's like there's a time and a place to hang out with a dog. Probably not 10 seconds after a baby's born. It's gotten real fast and loose with these service dogs, and now you kind of see them everywhere. And they're usually wearing some sort of little vest. I wonder how much that vest costs. That must be a part of the deal when you go to the website to say you need it, and you fill out, and they send you some sort of certificate saying it's a service dog, and you pay your $75, and then you get your little red vest or whatever color vest they send you.
When I was Uber driving, I don't know, probably a couple months ago. And this girl asked me if I was really an Uber driver. I said, yeah, of course. Why? Do I look like a creep or something? She's like, well, you can just go on to you can go online and buy the stickers and put them in your window. You don't have to actually be an Uber driver. And I'm like, you know what? I think you're kind of right. I've seen people that have copied Uber logo taped to their window
because they didn't want to buy the sticker,
because the sticker didn't come from Uber for whatever reason. And I'm like, why would anybody jump in a car with that person? I mean, you would want it to be somewhat legit, especially after the headlines last week.
If they pull up, roll the window down, and say, Jeff, and you're like, yes, obviously that's the driver that you just requested. If they know your name,
yeah, I don't always do that. I just kind of open the door.
I mean, I did a lot of Ubering in San Francisco this weekend, so I mean that's what happened every single time. Jeremy, yep, that's me. All right, man, jump in.
Yeah, but sometimes you're supposed to. You know what the protocol is for an Uber driver? It's not what took place. You're supposed to say, "Hi." If you're the driver, you're supposed to say, "Hi, you waiting for an Uber?" And the person says yes. You say, "What's your name?" Because especially in San Francisco, you can run across a situation where you're waiting for an Uber and the guy standing next to you is waiting for an Uber.
Oh, yeah, that happened everywhere I went.
And so you're like, they could get into your Uber on accident.
Get in the wrong one.
Yeah. And then it throws the whole game.
Maybe that's why they just shout out your name. Are you Jeremy? Yes. All right, then I'm your man. I don't know. All I know about Ubers in San Francisco is a lot of Middle Eastern drivers with a lot of cologne. a lot of cologne on.
Yes.
Like the whole car, like everyone I got. I'm like, damn, this is the best smelling Uber I've ever been in. Oh, thank you very much, sir.
It smells good.
Hey, Brian.
The guy that calls in, Don, he's always talking about Big Chill. He could probably confirm that there's a couple that brings their goddamn service dogs to Big Chill.
I don't know what Big Chill is.
Big Chill is
like a oldies night.
Yeah, it's oldies night down at the Graduate. And it's like on Saturday, like one Saturday a month or something like that. Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, whenever the lunar cycle matches up.
What the hell? So when you say oldies night, are we talking like senior citizen night at the Graduate? Or
it's like 50s, 60s, 70s, like good times, shake your hips.
Yeah,
crap.
like twist and shout and
yeah.
Let me ask you this. Are there more canes and walkers or service dogs at oldies night?
I haven't been in a few years, but this one couple had canes and dogs.
Wow.
Okay, I want to know what you were doing at the Big Chill, Brian.
I used to serve time at that place.
Meaning you used to work there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like to call it that, but yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So they would bring their dogs to the dance, essentially.
They would show up at like 6 at night to get dinner before the pregame with the dogs.
See, this is why I like anywhere where food is served, I don't want the dogs. And
Definitely.
I know there are places that allow patios that allow you to bring your dogs, and those are the places that should adopt the Delta policy. Like you need to sign some kind of document that says that your dog is going to behave, because there are dogs that are behaved at restaurants,
right?
But then there are dogs that are like tearing down tables with the leash at restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's
Going
like
crazy.
Yeah, and those are the ones that is like, okay, that they turn me away from the restaurant. I go to the restaurant, I look around, I survey the scene, I have kids.
If
I see a dog fighting with another dog underneath a table, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going somewhere else.
That's it.
All right, thanks for the call, Brian. Appreciate it. Sandra says you can buy a service vest for your dog on Amazon. Ugh. Mary is hilarious. She says most inappropriate place she saw a dog was at a concert. She says the guy was so weird he was dancing with it like it was his girlfriend. I've seen these guys. I know exactly who she's talking about. We have a lot of them right here on the Central Coast.
Is that technically a service animal? I mean, I guess technically that is a service animal. It's providing companionship.
Listen,
to you.
I want to be very clear. I am not anti-dog. I love dogs. I love that you can bring dogs places. It all depends on the owner and how well you discipline the dog and you make sure that the dog is behaved. It's not the dog's fault. It's always the person that lets them get away with it.
Yeah, but produce section at the grocery store. Come on.
Well, you don't need to take your dog into the grocery store. Okay, I don't care. What service is that dog providing you while you shop for eggs, milk, and bananas?
That is the most egregious abuse of service animal freedoms that I've ever seen, is people that take their dogs into the grocery, because I wouldn't take my dog into the grocery for obvious reasons. You don't take a dog at the grocery store because sanitary reasons. I mean, this is where everyone is buying their food, not just dog owners. If you want to open up let the free market decide this. If you want to open up a grocery store for people with dogs and then they could shop there, well, maybe that would be a very lucrative business offering. But now all grocery stores feel like they have to allow dogs in there.
543-3693. You can call or text on that line. Go ahead, man.
Hey, this might not be the most inappropriate place I've ever seen one, but I'm a math instructor at a local community college, and one summer I had a young lady come in with her dog at the beginning of the semester and tell me, this is my service dog who goes everywhere with me. Is it going to be a problem in class? And that's what I asked her was, is it going to be a problem in class?
Right.
She said no. And about the second or third week, she had asked me a question. I was doing a problem for her on the board, and I turned around, and she was literally in the back taking selfies with duck lips, posing with her service dog, and posting them online, right?
Yes, I would say a college course is an inappropriate place to bring your dog.
My question is, are you still a math instructor at a community college?
I've actually moved up the ladder quite a bit.
Okay, good. Because you're because at that point in time,
wait, what's wrong with that?
No, because there's nothing wrong with it. But at that point in time, you had to be questioning what you were doing at your life when the Kardashian wannabes in the back with the dog.
For sure. I mean, it was that or Uber, right?
Exactly. Like, God, I could be Uber driving right now.
Yeah,
Right.
Just say this with me. You call for an Uber?
Jeff, who saw a dog crap at the Lowe's in Paso Robles, I'm assuming. He texted in and he said that he saw a dog, service dog, crap in the Lowe's in Paso Robles, and the owner walked away and didn't do anything about it.
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. Like, just kept going on, like, oh yeah.
You see people do this all the time.
To pick up my dog crap, so
If
I guess I'll go buy a toilet.
Hey, I would yell. I would say, hey, get over here. I don't care how big the guy is, how big the dog is.
He says that he told the worker nearby and waited by it till he could get something to pick it up to make sure that nobody stepped in it or anything.
Oh, God, you just want to take that you just want to take it and shove it in his face. The worst is when you step in dog poop. I haven't stepped in dog poop in a long time, but it never comes out of your shoes. I mean, you got to hose everything down.
Would Lowe's have been out of line if they would have charged that guy a cleaning fee?
No, I don't think so.
On top of whatever it is he bought at Lowe's that day?
Hey, you bring your dog in here, you're responsible for it. Hey, if you took a crap on the floor, I'm pretty sure that there would be an issue with that. They'd probably call the cops, right?
Well, exactly. And that goes back to what I was talking about with that dumb airplane a few weeks ago that was made to emergency land in, where was it, Montana or something like that?
I think it was Alaska, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on its way to like China, and it had
from Chicago or something,
Chicago.
And then they dropped down in Anchorage.
Yeah,
it's because this guy went nuts and rubbed his feces all over the bathroom.
Rick is a service dog vigilante. He says,
"Oh, nice.
Because
we need more of them."
We're asking the question: where's the most inappropriate place you've ever seen an emotional support animal? And Rick says, don't get me started. Everywhere, all caps. People take advantage of that quote-unquote privilege, and it pisses me off. It's just their pet that they want to take with them everywhere. So he goes up to them, and he asks questions. Legally, you can ask these people questions, apparently. He goes up to him, and he says, what support does it provide? And what is it trained to perform? He says people that have service pets that aren't prepared to answer those questions because they bought a service vest off Amazon, like Cassandra was talking about,
right,
hate those questions because they don't have an answer at times. And then at that point in time, he looks at him and he goes, yes, service pet. Yeah, right. Walks away.
There is a need for service pets for certain people,
yes.
And vets, and there's other people that have PTSD from other things, and then anxiety. I get all of that, and we're not poo-pooing a legitimate service pet, but it's just gotten too fast and loose where you can just go to Amazon, buy the vest now, and people are like, oh, it's a service animal, and you don't ask any questions but it's okay to ask questions.
And if you have a service animal and you legitimately obtain that service animal to provide you support, and the doctor says it's a good idea, and everybody, your therapist says it's a good idea, you are like 10% of people who claim service animals. The other 90% of people are ruining it for you. And you should be equally, if not more, mad at these people that walk around with quote-unquote service pets that can't answer those two questions than we are. People that don't have any claim. We don't have any quote-unquote dog in the race because it doesn't apply to us. But you should be more mad.
We should all be service animal or just, pet owner vigilantes. You see a pet owner go by and their animal takes a crap and they don't pick it up, you got to say something. You got to shame them into never wanting to do that again. Because there's people that walk this planet that think they're better than everyone else. They think that their actions don't affect other people, and they're self-centered, and they have no shame. And these people need to be called out.
Cassandra says, what about the people who push their dogs in strollers?
Well, what's wrong with that? Sometimes dogs get tired. It's funny, I bought my bulldog one of these. You know the things you put kids in and you pull them behind your bike?
Yeah.
And it's got
trailer?
the wheels,
you
the
have
trailer.
One of those?
No, I had one. I put him in. I bought it at Costco. I put him in it.
What the hell? What'd you do with it?
I put him in it. Well, this was years ago.
Can I have it?
No, it's gone. I don't know. I think got taken back, or we gave it to somebody.
Oh, Costco. Good return policy.
But I think it was Costco, and we put him in the damn thing, and he wanted no part of this thing.
Right.
He was like, I am not a trailer dog, and he got out of it. He did not want to go for rides. He didn't want to do any of it.
It's like the time I decided it'd be a good idea to buy one of those kid backpacks and go on a hike with my daughter, and she screamed in my ear for about 50 yards, and then I took that thing back immediately.
She wanted to walk.
Good morning. Jeff and Jeremy in the morning on 93.3 KZOZ.